So I think the most important thing that I've done and accomplished is to be married since 1971 without interruption to the same woman, and to be a father without interruption to my 3 children and a grandfather without interruption to my 6 grandchildren. So I think that that is by far the most important accomplishment that I've had in my life. I started at McDonald's in December of 1973. I started in an operations trainee position, was what the title was. At the time, McDonald's was growing very rapidly, and their pace of growth and need for middle management was not keeping up. So one of the solutions that they implemented was they hired people that already had middle management experience and taught them McDonald's, and I was one of those people. So I came in the first 4 months I worked at the La Puente restaurant in La Puente, California. Today we own the same restaurant that I started working in. I was working there for 4 months as an assistant manager, learning the business, and then I was transferred to a restaurant in Los Angeles on Western Avenue that was a company-owned restaurant as well, and I worked there for 3 months as the restaurant manager. There I got the skills necessary to learn McDonald's to supplement the skills that I already had as a person that had middle management experience. From there, I was elevated to the position of field consultant. And as a field consultant, I was responsible for 18 to 21 McDonald's restaurants during the time that, the year that I was a field consultant. The next opportunity I had was to be an area supervisor, in which case I was responsible for the operation of 5 McDonald's restaurants that were owned by the company. They were in Pasadena and Glendale and the San Fernando Valley. And of course, these areas were predominantly in white communities. And for all of the people, I was the first African-American supervisor in these stores, in Sherman Oaks, in Encino. So I was very successful with my position as an area supervisor, and was offered the opportunity to become a sales manager after that. Once again, we were very fortunate. We were able to increase sales, increase cash flow, and outperform the other profit centers. People took notice of that, and after a year, I was given the opportunity to be the director of McCopco. So that meant that I was the person in charge of the operation of all of the company-owned stores, and there were about 80 company-owned stores in Los Angeles at the time. We wound up that year as the top profit-producing McCopco patch and the highest sales-increasing McCopco patch. And we also wound up having more people promoted to positions outside of the region to help the system, which was another thing because McDonald's was growing so fast that it really needed. So the following year, I was made the director of operations for the entire region. So that meant that all the franchise stores and the operation to support the franchise stores and all of the company-owned stores and the operations to support the company-owned stores then reported to me. In 1978, when we moved to Chicago, I was 30 years old. And I had been in McDonald's since 1973. So it really took me 5 years of my career, and I had moved to a position that was just below the officer level. So I was in that position as the director of the National Operations Department for 2 years, and it was 2 very successful years. We were able to make a lot of changes in a lot of different regions that accelerated the McDonald's business success. So the next thing that happened for me was I was asked to come back as the regional manager to Los Angeles, because that was my home base and that was what, I had been hoping for all along. So I was able to come back to Los Angeles as the regional manager. 1 year later, senior regional manager. 1 year after that, regional vice president. So 1983, I was made regional vice president. It was 10 years after I had joined McDonald's. I was like 35 years old. And I was the fastest and the youngest in McDonald's at that point to get to be that position. One of the things I'm very proud about my career in McDonald's is all of the restaurants during this period of time that I was able to develop. So it was a time of fast growth for McDonald's. I think I never had less than 16 stores that we built during the course of any 1 year. And we built some great stores and acquired some great real estate during that period of time. Some of those stores are some of the most successful stores that McDonald's has in Southern California now. I became a franchisee in December of 1985. We purchased 2 stores in Pomona, and 3 years later, we opened another store in Pomona, and then we've been growing ever since. We now operate 16 McDonald's restaurants in and around the Pomona area. One of the reasons why I chose to be a franchisee is because I came to recognize that our children could not inherit our job. You have a job and it's a good job, and it produces well and provides well for you, but it is your job. It is not something that you own. It is something that you have as long as someone gives you permission to have it and you continue to earn it. But once your tenure in the job is over, it is over, and there is no ancillary benefit to your family from that point forward. On the other hand, if you own a business, you have the opportunity to work with your children. Your children have an opportunity, should they choose, to come into the business, to learn the business, to add to the business, and then ultimately to take over and own the business. So we've been able to achieve our dream of success ourselves within the McDonald's system as owner-operators, and to extend that dream and that success to our children, who are entrepreneurs all, and we have the blessing of being able to work every day with our kids. I hope that when they look back, and those that have never experienced me personally, but read about me as a part of lore and history in our family, will look back and think that, there's somebody that loved me and didn't even know that I was who I was and was coming along, because they really set a base for our family that I can come into and have a leg up in whatever way the world is competitive at that point in time. I think I'm most proud of still being the same person that I am, that I started out as. I see myself as a striver, as a person who came into the world without a lot of the advantages of the world, but who is able through prayer, love, counsel, guidance, ability, and people who are who have surrounded me and have poured into my life. All of that has helped me to be the person that I am today, and that is pretty much the same person that I was when I was 11 years old and came to Southern California. One of the things that I learned from being poor, being brought up in a household, is that you can not have any money but still not be poor of spirit. And I think that the thing that separates people that are successful from those who aren't, people who aren't always or often thinks that it comes from them, that there's something that is innate within them that is superior to what is innate in other people. And I know for a fact, because of my mama Annie and her strong faith in God, that it's a gift that comes from God. It doesn't have anything to do with you. You're merely a vessel that God uses to distribute those gifts in ways that serve His will. And I think that success comes when, long-term success comes when people take that view. Most of us are not born with wealth and not born in influential families. And those of us who are not, we all have to do the same things to be successful. We have to, first of all, have the sense that life is about competition, because it is. If you want to win a competition in sports, you have to score the most points. If you want to win a competition in the classroom, you have to score the best grades. If you want to win a competition in business, you have to figure out what the goals are, and you have to be closer to those goals than other people in order for you to reap the rewards. And so I think that young people have got to accept that there are certain things that you can change. Just look at what Steve Jobs did with Apple. He changed the world. And I think it's about more than just what you want for yourself. I think you got to want it in a way that shares that vision and that opportunity, so that other people can be successful too.